Says we live right now. Is wait for him to get in there. So I'll do the introduction and let me put this up for the podcast. Let me change the color. Hold on. Let me change that. Put the banner up. What's going on, guys? Hope everybody is doing good tonight. I know a lot of people's probably zooming, but the people that needs to be here on this live podcast with my sister Kathy right here, man. She's ready to share her experience, strength, and hope. If anybody out there is struggling in the world,
Okay. Okay.
Send me a message. Connect with the Inspirational Freestyle Recovery Flow page. I'm sure y'all can send her a message. She will reach out to you. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pray her in, and then I'm going to hit the Inspirational Flow, and then I'm going to let her share her experience, strength, and hope. All right, hold on. All right, Lord Almighty God, I just want you to place hands on Kathy right now. And if she struggles with any low self-esteem, any low self-worth, any lack of confidence, that you just lift that off her and allow her to share her message of recovery and touch that one person that is hopeless right now down in the pities, just like poor me, and that can find the light of hope and the inspiration and motivation to change their life, Lord, and just be with us while she shares. Amen. All right. Inspirational freestyle recovery. All right, sis. Floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Carl, for the opportunity tonight. It's been a minute since I shared my story and everything. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Because, I'm not used to doing it like this. So,
yeah.
So yeah, as Carl said, my name is Kathy, and I have just under 10 years clean and sober. Sobriety date is June 10th of 2020. I do attend a 12-step fellowship, and it's been one hell of a ride. I can say that, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, it's been a crazy ride. I grew up really in a household that, by most standards, looked pretty perfect, on the outside. It was two parents, the dog, 2 cars, house on the hill, lake in the backyard. It was for most people looking in, it was a pretty idealistic life. What they didn't know then was that my dad was an alcoholic for 20 years of my life, as long as I knew him. Well, I can't say as long as I knew him, because when he passed, he had 17 years sobriety behind him. But he my whole growing up childhood, he was an alcoholic, and so there was a lot of verbal abuse that went on, and so forth. My mom was a great enabler. She was really, really good at it and taught me very, very well. And taught my sister very well. And, so things would go, and, there'd be good days, there'd be bad days. It's like any other house in a lot of ways. And, but our bad days were really, really bad, and our good days were really, really good. I grew up with a lot of food allergies. I grew up as kind of the weird kid, because I had a lot of food allergies. I couldn't eat bread. I couldn't eat French fries. I couldn't eat potato chips. Like, my meals consisted of, for those of you, for our Jewish friends, you know matzah very well. But that was the only bread I could eat. And for those who don't know what matzah is, it's a very plain, unleavened bread. It's a very bland cracker, basically. And so I always felt different because of that, and learned very early on that what happens in the house stays in the house. We don't talk about dad's drinking problem. We don't talk about it. my mom finally walked away from my dad after I had an appendicitis attack, and she was at work, and she's like, take her to the hospital, do this and this. And she got home from work, and I was still at the house, and so middle of the night, she's rushing me to the ER and stuff. And my dad's reasoning at that point was that he'd been drinking, so it wasn't safe for him to drive with my sister and stuff in the car. So that was kind of the tipping point for my mom. Parents got divorced, and we moved to a new city. And it's ironic because I was always the good kid for my mom, in most standards, because I didn't do drugs, I didn't drink, I didn't do any of that in high school. I didn't smoke, I didn't run around with the bad kids, that bad boy crowd, whatever. I was very active in high school. I was in choir, I was in plays, I was very active in sports. Took my drug-free athlete stuff a little bit too seriously sometimes. Like, my aunt would ask me to bring her a bottle of wine or whatever. I'd be like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I got out of high school, and I went off the chain. My dad, I was accepted to Northern Michigan University for a pre-med, and my dad said I wasn't smart enough to go. So I could go to the community college if I really wanted to go to college. So as all of my friends are up and going away to school, I'm at home and going there for the weekends, and found out that I was really good at out drinking the frat boys, and really good at being able to put the liquor down, and being able to keep up with it. And because I was so into sports, because I was such a tomboy, that not only could I outdrink the guys, but in a lot of cases I could outtalk them as far as sports goes and everything. So it definitely was a win-win for me. And being young and pretty and everything else never hurt. So, so off started my career in drinking at that point, because I didn't want to be at home. I was unhappy. I grew up with the mentality of, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, and I'm never going to amount to nothing. So why not just go to the local community college and drink and work and do whatever? And eventually dropped out of college, went to work full time. Drinking became a 6-day-a-week thing. Didn't think much about it. It was every night but Sunday, because I showed up at my grandmother's house drunk. Y'all know how those Southern grandmothers are, right? I mean, Carl, you know how grandmothers are. You show up to their house drunk, they're going to feed you the ickiest grits they can find you. It's just bad. They're not nice. They're all sweet. All the Southern grandmothers are sweet until you show up at their house drunk on Christmas morning. Then they're not so sweet. So I always made sure that I was sober when I went to my grandparents' house for Sunday dinner, because I didn't want to get yelled at by my grandmother. Moved around a lot, because geography fixes everything, doesn't it? It just makes everything magically disappear. I've lived in a town called Kewaskum, Wisconsin. It just makes everything magical. Little teeny town in Wisconsin. You blink and you miss it. And as a Bears fan, that was brutal. So I changed allegiances during that time, and was rooting for Green Bay because I was living in the middle of Wisconsin. And to be fair to my Bears fans, it was the Dave Wannstedt era. So, I mean, it's not like we were really good then either. Moved back to Illinois, and then decided to move out to Mesa, Arizona, where my mom was, and met my delightful ex-husband. He was peach, and more abusive than I could have ever imagined. And I don't go into a lot of the details of the abuse, because it's not pertinent, but and on certain levels it is. So if you're struggling with abuse, reach out to me, talk to me, because I'm happy to share more privately some of what went on. But know that you don't have to live that way. It took me 2 years into that marriage to figure out that I wasn't going to fix him, and that if I stuck around, I was just going to end up dead. So 9.5 months pregnant with my first son, I boarded a plane and walked away, and got through the whole breastfeeding phase and everything, and went right back to drinking. Was staying with my aunt at the time because my aunt was the only place that had room for me and a newborn anyway. And then when my mom moved into Elgin, we moved in with her. We stayed with her until she passed away from pancreatic cancer in 2005. And a lot of people will say that they don't know when their disease reached that tipping point, when it really just went over the edge. Because I could go months without a drink sometimes. I could easily do it, not even think about it. And then my mom died. And she got sick. And pancreatic cancer is, and TJ can attest to this, TJ Skeeth can attest to this, pancreatic cancer is almost a death sentence. Rarely is it found in time to make any huge difference. And that was the case with my mom. And so within a 9-month time span, we lost her. And I was now smoking marijuana to sleep. I was abusing sleeping pills to try and sleep. I was drinking. I couldn't function because I was losing my mother. And she wasn't just my mom, she was my best friend. And she was the one who protected me from my dad's abuses and stuff until he sobered up. And, we'll get more into my dad in a minute here. But so I decided that once again, geography fixes everything. And so I moved to North Carolina where my dad was. And because I wanted my son to be near at least one grandparent. And he was down there with his family, with my stepmom and my brother. And I can't really say his family because they're my family too. Like, I don't ever look at my brother and go, oh yeah, he's my half brother. He's my brother. But moved down there, kept drinking. Finally OD'd pretty much on the Ambien. And quit taking pills completely at that point. Like, I didn't want anything to do with pills at that point. But I'd still drink because, drinking wasn't the problem. And so it was interesting because I never thought I had the problem with the alcohol. I always thought it was the pills because when I was married the first time, I was taking OxyContin for the physical abuse that he was putting me through. And even earlier than that, when I was 17, my good friend of mine and 6 other people were killed in the Brown's Chicken massacres here in Elgin. And at that point, I was on Vicodin because I'd blown out both my shoulders. I partially dislocated both my shoulders. And it didn't dawn on me then. It dawned on me many, many years later when I was first getting into sobriety that I didn't process all of that in the same way that the rest of my friends did because I was on the Vicodins. So I didn't process it the same way. But again, I stopped the Vicodins and moved forward with my life. Like, I didn't need them. And until I got married, and then the painkillers became my crutch because we didn't have liquor in the house. So then the painkillers became my crutch to kill the pain that I was feeling and stuff. And the same thing with my mom. And I know that she has forgiven me. And it's, and in a large way, I've forgiven myself. I was taking her pain meds and, when she was dying and stuff and doing all kinds of horrible things that we do as addicts and alcoholics. And, it was crazy. And, and it was all about me. It wasn't about the fact that my sister had just lost her twin sister, or my sister had just lost her mother, or that my dad had lost her best friend. It was all about me. Me. And so I moved down to North Carolina and did all of that fun stuff and drank and got evicted and, all those fun things that we do in our addiction that we don't really think is a problem. And at the same time, I made some really good friends down there. But, moved back up here in 2008, moved back to Illinois in 2008, and came back to my aunt's house. This poor woman has put up with me for a long time, and God bless her soul, because she's put up with me for a long time. And then 2010 hit, and my oldest son at that point tried to commit suicide at 9, and I just kept spiraling, and I didn't see how close I was to losing everything. I kept thinking, no, I got this. I only drink on the weekends now. I'm fine. And I'm fine. It's all very good. It's all great. Da da da. And it really wasn't. And I, being the drama queen that I was, and my aunt will still say I'm a drama queen, but I've calmed down in that department. Decided to get myself mixed into my neighbors' private lives, and told a good friend of mine that her husband was cheating on her with somebody that I knew, and he found out and blew up at me, and a whole bunch of stupid stuff. He threatened to kill me and whatever. And I applaud his service. He's a former Marine, but he's got a lot of he's got some PTSD there that hopefully he's getting help for these days. But he was not at that point. And I got blitzed that night, man. Not only were the Chicago Blackhawks winning their first championship, but which was a reason to drink anyway. I mean, not that I needed one, but that was a good reason that night, because we were winning our first Stanley Cup and it was awesome, and the whole city's all excited. And but what they didn't know at that time was that I'd lined up the Seroquel. I lined up 2,000 milligrams of Seroquel, and I'd already downed a liter of vodka and was working on another liter. And because I wasn't going to wake up. I wasn't. And it wasn't the first time I'd attempted suicide, but it was certainly going to be the last. And, I credit a friend of mine, a very good man I know, and I didn't know it then, but he would become the man that I would end up marrying. And, but he didn't know it then. We were just friends, and he just kept talking. Oh, he talked until I was too tired to walk inside of that house and take those pills. And brother, I'll tell you, I hit my knees that night, because I knew I couldn't keep doing this. I knew I couldn't keep going in this vicious circle that I was in. It was going to cost me everything if I did. And I started going to a 12-step fellowship that weekend. And I don't remember anything about that first meeting other than that I was told I was the most important person in the room. And without me, these meetings wouldn't be here. And I broke down in tears. I don't remember anything else from that meeting. I couldn't tell you who the speaker was, anything like that. But, but that stuck with me, because, we don't think of ourselves as being important. By the time we get to these rooms and we really get tired of being sick and tired all the time, we think we're worthless. And that's where I was. I was worthless. And in my eyes, I'd been worthless my whole life. And I was 34 when I sobered up. So that's a long time to think that you're not worth anything, and you're not worth, being on this channel right now with Carl Frey, talking to people, telling your story. I never thought that day would come. I dove in head first. I got a sponsor. I did my steps. I did them religiously. I called my sponsor every single day, even when I was in treatment. I went to an 28-day inpatient program that changed my life. And I still go in there when I can. Right now, obviously, because of the pandemic, I can't go in and work with them. But I do go in the 5th Sunday of every month. So hopefully the next time I'm up, the coronavirus will be gone and I can actually get in there and talk to them again. But they canceled me the last time because of everything. And, but I dove right in. And my dad said that was the proudest day it was the proudest he's ever felt of me, was when I said, I need help and I can't do this anymore. He at that point had been in sobriety himself for 15 years. He stayed sober through the death of my mom, which was, as I said, his best friend. And so I knew it could be done. I knew it could be done. I just had to figure out how I was going to do it, and not because I always said I was never going to be my father's kid. I was never going to be like my dad. I wasn't going to do that. And I so my father's kid. I look exactly like my mother, but I'm so my father's kid. And, and so it was a matter of finding my rhythm and finding what worked for me. As I said, I started working the steps right away. Like I didn't even waste time. And because to me, those steps were going to be the key. Whatever 12 step you're in, those steps are the key to the gates. You get through those and you keep working those every single day and you keep doing what you're supposed to do every single day. There's a life waiting out there that is just beyond any measure, like just beyond anything you can imagine today. The fourth dimension. I mean, it's mind blowing. I remember when you started coming on, Carl, and how new you were still, but you were so full of passion. And you're still so full of passion, and it's awesome. And I remember when you were coming on, I could see that you were still new. Like you still had that look like, I think I'm doing this right, but I don't know, but this is what I think I need to do. So this is what I'm going to do. And because that's what God put in you, and it took me a long time to get to this point where, like, the first time I got told to share my story, I was like, nope, my story is boring. I was like, I got nothing. I was like, I'm sitting next to people who've got 30, 40 years behind me. I ain't got nothing. And, my sponsor at the time reminded me that you never know who's going to get what out of your story. So you have to share it. And so since then, anytime anybody asks for a speaker, I jump in, which is how I'm here tonight. Carl asked, I said yes, because that's what I was told to do. But I worked those steps and I looked at the first step and I went, my life's not unmanageable. Kidding me? My life's not unmanageable. I still have the house, or I still have a place to live. I still have the car. I still have the job. I still have, custody of my kid. My life's not unmanageable. And then my sponsor broke it down and I went, ooh, maybe it's a little bit more unmanageable than I thought. Because I wasn't taking into account that I was not paying one bill to pay another, so I could make sure I had enough left over for my drink and stuff. And and that's
crazy on the screen. Right?
Wow, that's awesome.
I'm sorry for cutting you off. That blew my mind.
Right? That's fantastic.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. But that's how this program works. That's how this program works. And I struggled with the GONE concept for a while. I won't lie with it. I struggled with it. And sometimes I still kind of struggle with it. I definitely say that I'm more spiritual than anything else, but I know that at the end of the day, whoever's out there, I choose to call it God, but whatever you choose to call it, folks, is what you do. And but there is something bigger than me out there. And really, if you're new to recovery, all you have to really do is go outside and look up. Look up at the stars every single night and realize that there is something bigger at work here. And it is not you. You did not put those stars in the sky. You did not create these planets. There is something bigger than you out there. Don't care what you call it. There's something bigger than you. There's something bigger than all of us out there. And then went through my steps and made the amends and everything and did everything I was supposed to do. And, and it was good. It was good because my dad and I were able to heal our relationship. Because when my dad got sober and he went to sit down with me and make his amends for 20 years of abuse and stuff, I told him to go blow, to put it nicely, because, you know, I don't know who's all watching and I don't want to offend. But to put it nicely, I told him to go blow and stuff it in his ear. And so the fact that he and I could have that and have that, those moments was really good. My first year of sobriety was crazy. Because about 3 months into it, I decided that, because I wasn't a good mom, and I wasn't a good mom to my son, and he was 10 when all of this was going on. And when I decided to get sober, I decided to give him up for adoption. And my sister adopted him lovingly, and she will forever, she's just a saint. And she's not. I mean, realistically, my sister's not a saint. None of us are. But I can never repay her for what she's done for my son. And she took him in, and she loved him, and she raised him, and in a time when he needed that, when I couldn't give it. And you know, so that was all in the first 6 months of my sobriety, you know. And then I lose my job, and you know, it was one of those weird things. It just, like, one right after another kept happening. Finally got on solid ground, started dating my now husband, and lost my dad 2.5 years in. I got a phone call the day before my 37th birthday, saying that my dad had collapsed, and flew down to Greensboro on, well, it was a planes, trains, and automobiles nightmare was what it was. We flew from Chicago to Newark, couldn't get on another plane to Greensboro, so my sister rented a car, and we drove 8 hours to get to Greensboro by Christmas morning, only to find out that my dad was brain dead. And he never woke up from when he collapsed. So, you know, we then spent the week saying goodbye and so forth. And, you know, ironically, I was in a meeting when he passed. My husband is also in sobriety, and he's got just over 14 years. And we were in there for 5 minutes, and he looked down at his phone because it was going off, and he looked down, and he stepped out of the room. And as soon as he walked back in and I made eye contact with him, I knew my dad was gone. If that's not God, people, I don't know what is, because I was right where I needed to be.
Yes.
At the moment he passed, I was right where I needed to be. And cried through the whole thing, and politely, you know, they were getting ready to do the speaker, and I politely cut out. My husband and I politely cut out so we could get back to the hospital to be with the family and stuff. But, you know, that's God, though. That's God working in my life today, you know. Did all of that, and, you know, it's, you know, I won't say it's not been, I won't say that it's been easy, but it's been better than I could have ever imagined. As I said, I met and married my husband in the program. We have a beautiful 7-year-old child. God saw fit to make me a mother again because I do all the right things. I'm a much better mother today. I've definitely learned from my mistakes with my oldest, who's now 19, going on 20. I do, you know, I'm that mom that's very active in school and everything. Like, all the teachers know me and everything else. We're back living with my aunt. Because we are trying to save money for her. We were getting ready. We were hoping to be able to move out this summer. And then all of this happened, and we went, yeah, I think we're going to stay put for another year. Because my husband's hours have been cut and stuff. So we got to wait a little bit longer, but not too much longer. Probably by next year we'll be back out on our own. But you know, my aunt graciously has let us stay here. I'm in her basement right now. Because this is eventually where my desk will be for my work. I have a great job. I have an amazing job. And I've had several amazing jobs along the way with some great companies who took a chance on an alcoholic and an addict and said, yeah, we're not worried about that. I've been able to give back at those jobs with people that have been struggling with addictions. When my friend Ian killed himself at one of our jobs, you know, I was the one trying to help people get through it and kind of help make sense of it all, and some of them to keep some of them from going off the edge, you know, but because that's what God's been able to do for me. I have sponsees. I have a sponsor who has a sponsor who has a sponsor.
Yeah.
I have a home group, not that we meet right now, but I have a home group.
I think, you know, I'll share some of that with you. You can keep going, but I just, well, my belief is it happened for a reason, you know?
It did.
This
Well,
needed to happen to unify and drop all them resentments that we had against people in the world. And for
exactly.
the world to unify.
Exactly.
And
I
let
think,
people know that this is real.
yeah. Yeah. And, you know, and that's the funny thing, you know, it's, you know, because that is what happens. You know, Mother Nature resets itself. She's like, no, we're done. We're done playing this game. Like, boom. You know, and yeah, I give back every chance that I get. I've worked with Shay and Jessica Sassano and Sling and Hope Radio. Been on their show quite a number of times. I miss it. I always used to love their show. Shay is a great friend of mine. He got sober 2 years after I did. You know, so I've been super blessed. I've been amazingly blessed to be able to give back. I finally got to meet you. We met in Chicago at the convention this January.
Yeah, cool.
My first convention for that 12-step program. And so to be able to have met you and just get one of those Carl Frey. For those of you who don't know, he gives really good hugs. Like if you ever meet him, ask him for a hug because he gives really, really good hugs.
Real hugs.
You know, right.
All of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just fantastic.
So they taught me well, you know?
Right. So, you know, and to this day I work my steps. You know, I continue to work my steps and I continue to do, you know, my 1, 2, 3 in the morning and my 10, 11, 12 at night. And, you know, it's because that's how it's got to be. You know, if I'm not doing all of this stuff, if I'm not doing everything that I need to be doing every minute of every day, I run the risk of losing everything that I have. And I don't want to do that. You know, I drink a lot of the red can sometimes. Sometimes I drink the blue can, but that's as heavy as it. Well, my espresso. When I'm really in a place, I'll go get an espresso. But that's as hard as it goes, you know. And because I know that if I don't do those things, I realize today the eyes that are watching me. And the 7-year-old looks up to me and looks to me for that guidance, to be calm, to not crazy react and everything else and do all of those things that I taught my oldest to do. You know, but I have those eyes looking at me today, and I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to reach out and help those that need it. And even those that don't, they just need an ear, you know, that have just had a really crappy day. You're just like, dude, I just need somebody to talk to. Can you do it? I'm right there. You know, let's do it. You know, and I can't tell you the women that have saved my butt in this program. I'll tell you, there's a reason they say women stick with women and men stick with men. And it's not that we don't like the opposite person, but there's a reason, particularly in early sobriety, because in early sobriety, I didn't know my brain from a hole in the ground. So those women really helped me out. But yeah, you know, it's been a journey. And now I'm lucky enough to say that I'm getting ready to go on 10 years. June 10th, I'll have 10 years. And this time 10 years ago, I couldn't have told you I'd have 30 days. I would have told you I'd be dead within a year. And here I am, sitting with you and all these fine people on Facebook. You know, well, my husband's upstairs laughing at me going, really? You're doing a live? So, you know.
Thank you so much for getting on here.
Absolutely. What questions What question do you have for me, Carl?
So what are some of the things that you struggle with today in life? That's
I
a good
still,
one.
right? I still struggle with insecurities.
Yeah.
The demon comes back. I won't lie. I'm a fairly confident human being majority of the time, but there are some days where I'm just like, nope, not happening. Just not today. Hair's not doing what I want it to do. Still haven't had my coffee. So I still struggle with insecurities. But then I sit back and I reset and I call someone in the program and I'm just like and get it all out, and then I'm like, all right, wait, I can do this. I can do this. So hair's still a floppy mess, but which
Yeah.
is why I put up in a ponytail today. But
Yeah.
I have naturally curly hair, so if I wait too long, it just ends up looking like a giant Q-tip on top of my head.
Yeah.
So, but that's one that I still struggle with is insecurities and still feeling like that I'm less than.
So like in your recovery, what was the toughest time that you went through in your journey in recovery?
When my dad died, watching my dad die.
Yeah.
Because I'd lost my mom 7 years before, and I don't care how old you are when your parents die.
Yeah.
A part of you goes with them, and I have a fabulous stepmom, and my brother is just he's the shit, isn't it? He'd kill me for saying that because that's not who he is, but I say it all the time, and I just know it irritates him. But that was definitely the toughest time because I couldn't drive because I'd been arrested. I also got arrested my first year sobriety. I didn't get arrested for any of my DUIs or anything else. I got arrested for driving on a suspended license while I was straight sober. But so I couldn't drive, and I took it very seriously. I was very careful not to drive a car, I wouldn't even back a car out of the driveway if I could help it. So like driving down, my sister had to do all the driving, and I felt awful because that's 8 hours of driving is a long time to drive without having any help. And then to get there and to have to watch him go. It was also one of the greatest times of my life, though, because I got to be the big sister for once for my sister. Instead of her having to play that role, I got to be the big sister, and I got to carry her through that. But that definitely was the hardest time. Absolutely, hands down. Nothing. If I can get through that sober, you can get through anything sober.
I appreciate you getting on here.
Absolutely.
You had a good story though. I listen to everybody, man. That's all I can do. And like sometimes you might see me not paying attention. That's why I tell people, like, I'm the only one that controls this page. Like, I have moderators, but none of them are on tonight. I don't see none of them on, but I gotta trust people with the moderator because I gotta sign them to the page. I can't just be like, look, do this, do that. I plan on, turning this into something.
That's good. You should.
I'm about to, some big things are on the works right now. I've been looking, patenting, trademarking, and stuff like that. And slowly but surely, God will show up and He will make things possible. Like I said, like I got to tell myself, like, this is not a race. You know what I mean? This is not who's doing the most, who's doing what, I just care about everybody. If you are struggling, if you come on here and like you're sitting in your getting high in your house, like I was there, she was there. Please reach out. Like, we need you. We love you. We're going to love you until you love yourself. And we're here to bring a message of hope to you, a vision of hope. And all we can tell you is, like, no matter what you're going through, if you're clean, your soul, whatever, don't take nothing. Keep showing up. Reach out to your network of people and let them love on you, man. Instead of going around somebody, instead of going around talking about people, tell your secrets on the podium. You know what I mean? That's what I tell people. Like, don't share somebody else's story, share your story.
Right, because I'm an open book. You know, and I openly say that when I first got to sobriety, you know, I felt inferior to those around me because I didn't drink as much as they did, or I didn't use as much as they did, you know. And so I was like, well, what do I got on these guys? You know, you guys been, you know, doing this stuff way harder than I ever have. You know, I was the kid who walked in and went, what do you mean oxys are a legal form of heroin? What are you talking about? You know, like I didn't have a clue. And today I use that as, you know, kind of a tipping off point, because some people they do get intimidated by it. Another one of my favorites is that I've never actually done cocaine. I can honestly say that.
Yeah.
And I never happened because I snorted a pixie stick in 8th grade and it hurt. And I went, if sugar hurts that bad, I can only imagine what that's going to do. So no, thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy. I did everything though, except for shoot heroin. I sniffed it. I did Molly, meth. I did everything. I did methadone. I never smoked meth or snorted it, but I probably did do it because there were some drugs that I didn't feel too good on it. But like, what the hell is this? And
but I use those sorts of things for the newcomers, because then it's like it disarms them. It's like, wait a minute, you did what? You didn't do what? You know, because it kind of breaks that ice a little bit, and it makes it like, oh, wait a minute, maybe she's a bit more approachable than we thought. Because I get told all the time now that I'm a very intimidating woman. I'm like, what? Do you know me? Because I'm like the least intimidating human being on the planet, unless you're my kid.
Yeah.
So you know, but yeah, if you're struggling, if you're just going through stuff, whatever's running through your head, because this is a difficult time for everybody. This isn't easy.
It gets better.
You know, it's reach out. Don't think that you're in this alone, because you turn on the TV and all the TV stations say the same thing. We are in this together. We are all in this together. Period. Doesn't matter what walk of life you're walking. We're all here for you. This man, I can tell you right now, you message him, he will get back to you.
Absolutely.
And if he doesn't know the answer, he's gonna help.
I'm gonna get experience, not opinions.
Right.
You actually like seen me grow in this process though, like really involved in the something.
I have.
You know what I mean? Because like
I have
a lot of I have somebody almost when I first started. Remember, there was months or periods of time where I had a speaker every night. I would give anybody a chance. And now it's very important that we get people that's working a program though. You know what I mean?
It is, because that program is what's going to save your life.
You know, I'm open to all forms and walks of recovery. I don't judge on this page. This is a no judgment zone page. Like I tell people, I let people get on here on methadone and share. People judge me. I'm like, dude, that's your story. I'm not here for all that. I'm not going to judge somebody on methadone. That's not my process. So, you know, for me, like I had to learn, like in recovery, like everybody has a process. They got to go through some things, right, in order to grow and evolve into the person that like God wants them to be. And if you're offended by God, like keep coming back. If you're new here, like keep coming back, because that offended me when I first got here. And now God has just opened so many doors that I can't even say that it ain't something there. It ain't a power greater. It's something's going on. You know what I mean, sister?
Yeah.
My sister died. I stayed clean. People showed up in my life. Man, it's been a rough ride. My aunt died. I remained vigilant, open-minded, teachable, helping people, and I just never gave up, man. On like my grandma told me one day, she said, "You got a passion for this." She said, "I believe God called you upon to help people," and that's what I found fit. And it's like I don't get up on here and share no bullshit. It's raw and uncut. Like I can have times like in my relationship, like I got to go spend the rest of the little bit of time. What's it, 10:48 with my girl? Before she goes to bed. But I appreciate you getting on here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I appreciate you having me on. As I said, I'm always here for you, for anybody. You gotta message me that info to get the bracelets because I need a couple.
Yeah. I would definitely will. I
You
definitely
know,
will.
you know me. You know, I
I got
gotta get.
2 of them coming out. I got a couple left, but the ones that I got, I think they're already sold, but I got to count some. But if not, I just come off the ones that's on the wrist. That's what I do. But I got 2 coming out. One God quote and one pain shared is pain lesson. And it's
Yep.
got the logo on it now too.
Nice.
So I found a way to do that, put the logo in the corner. And I got some more coming out, man. Had people has been showing love. And as soon as they came out with 10 hours, and people's like, man, you gotta
Yeah.
you gotta raise the price. And remember Jimmy Cormier, he told me, he said, you're gonna have to make a living, man. Like you're gonna have to
Right.
make a way. He said, you can't just be giving all these thousands of dollars of stuff out. And he said, you got to
Right.
turn this into some kind of kickback. And
Right.
I
Yeah,
just
you
know
gotta-
the life for me, right? I had a job, never had a job. I got fired at my job. I was a dishwasher. I just didn't like what was going on in the environment. I snapped out.
Right.
I fell short. But I showed my girl, like, I can actually hold a job, like I had a job. Like I just didn't want to stay up in the house. Like when I first got with her, my defects was running rampant and shit. I didn't want to do nothing. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I don't get on here and not like share something that I ain't went through or done. Like that's why I think people respect me. You know what I mean, on here, because I just share what it is, man. Whatever's on my mind. That's why it's called a flow. Whatever comes to your mind, you flow with it and just go with it.
You know that like Jamie Boyd and Brian Woodland are on here and stuff, and like even now you know they'll tell you I don't sugarcoat this for anybody, because if I sugarcoat it, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Not necessarily me personally, but if I sugarcoat it, the chances of you dying goes higher, because I'm not keeping it real with you. And if I'm not keeping it real, then I'm not being me either.
Yeah, they told me what sheriff from the heart touches the heart.
Exactly.
So they told me when I arrived, in 05, and I just an honor and a pleasure to have you on here. You have a blessed night. Thank you so much for having you on here. Go spend time.
I like the Bulls hat, by the way. Nice nod to Chicago.
That's absolutely.
That's a nice hat.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of them. Love you.
You go spend some time with your girl. Thank you again.
All right, thank you.
Privileged to be here with you, brother.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Oh, what's going on? Thank you so much, Candy. Thank you, sister. Thank you so much. So, man, it was like a rough night for me, man. Like, you just sitting back, man. I love y'all so much. Y'all have a blessed night.